Hey, welcome to episode 13, everybody. Yeah, the lucky number 13. And for those of you who are new, we are on a journey to collect the entire Star Wars Kenner line from 1977 to 1985. And to see where it all started, go to episode 1. But in this episode, I wanted to go through my old Kenner figures that I had when I was a child, and I wanted to see what we can salvage again, and what figures that were missing weapons are good enough to make it into my collection so we can do a weapons hunt for them. And to refresh everybody's memory, here are the 3 rules that I set for myself before I began this run. So number 1, I'm gonna focus my collection to the Kenner line of Star Wars toys made between the years of 1977 to 1985. They have to be complete, they have to be good enough to make it in my collection, and there can't be any reproduction items like capes, guns, helmets, whatever. They have to be made within that Kenner run. I can't go out and buy a reproduction that's made today. Number 2, I'm gonna stay organized, and I also have a... Thanks, Lexi. And number 2, I have to stay organized, and I have to stay on budget, and to do that, I use my spreadsheet. And again, if you wanna see how I set that up, go to episode 1. I'll put a link in the descriptions for that. And number 3, which we're gonna do today, I'm gonna salvage as much as I can from my childhood collection to bring into my new collections, but they have to be good enough, they have to be obviously complete. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let's go. So I went over these in episode 1, so if you want some backstory on these figures, definitely go back and watch that episode. But this figure right here, the TIE Fighter, you know, I never had a TIE Fighter ship, but I mean, come on. When you were holding him as a kid, didn't you still make the TIE Fighter noise even though he didn't have a ship? Okay, all right, now back to the task at hand. So we combed through these and we came up with a game plan, and pretty much it comes down to these 3 figures. So the Bespan Guard that I have right here is in pretty good shape, and it's a figure that I think is worthy of display, but all I need is his Bespin Blaster, so we'll put that on the list of things to get today. I think that even though this 3PO, I mean, it's like a wet noodle. I mean, look at his joints are the loosest I have ever seen, but lucky with this version of C-3PO, he doesn't have a blaster or any accessories, so I would want to keep him. And when I find another 3PO for a great deal, or one that I can get graded also, let's just do that. So this 3PO makes the salvage list. Another one that we see right here is the Death Squad Commander. All we need is his Imperial Blaster. There's a lot of rub on his helmet, which, you know, it's common for these guys, at least that I've seen. But let's try to find a good deal on a weapons lot, either on eBay or on Facebook, and let's see what we can do. So this is the Imperial Gunnery, and before you go out and buy weapons for your figures, like especially if you're a starting collector like me, you'll want to go here just to make sure you educate yourself on what you need and what the reference is for it. In this case, we need the Bespin Blaster. So we looked up the Bespin Blaster section, found it under here under more, and you can go here to Bespin Blaster just in case it's not coming up on the menu for you. But it tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the Bespin Blaster, who came with it, and especially the different versions. You can see different color versions, you can see different mold versions, slightly different mold versions. And so here's the thing that I think is cool, and if you guys agree with me, let me know. Have you guys ever seen that movie, The Black Hole? It was made, I don't know, in the early 80s by Disney. I used to think that the Bespin Blaster looked like the same blasters that they used in the Black Hole. You know, even though they might have been, you know, the double-barreled ones, I always thought that those came from the same family, and I thought that the Black Hole was actually like a cousin or a sister to Star Wars, kind of like a spin-off. I mean, so, okay, a tangent, but that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. Put that in the comments, and if we connect, then you're my brother and sister for life. So it just takes you through different variations of what the Bespin Blaster could be. I've never seen the white Bespin Blaster, but it just takes you through different variations. Again, I've never seen a black Bespin Blaster, but that's because it was on a Lily Letty version. And of course, I was just used to getting the regular Kenner versions from like Hong Kong and things like that. So it also takes you through not only the color variations and versions, but it takes you through the reproductions and just what to look out for. So the other pew-pew that we're looking for is the Imperial Blaster. And again, it just tells you what characters it comes with. We're looking for the Death Squad commander, so we just want to make sure that before we buy, we come here, we check it out, we make sure that we're comfortable when we start seeing figures. And to me, when I see a black Imperial Blaster, I always have to think it's a repro. I don't know, for some reason in my mind, reproduction just always means black weapons. That's just me, but you know, so just looking on here, I think we can just have a visual reference. That way when we do see it online, we can just do a quick check on here just to make sure. And also scrolling down to the bottom of the page, they always have the reproduction pieces and just what to look for. We went back to good old Facebook and we placed in search of, and if you watched my last video, you know how I'm a fan of in search of. And right away we got hit up by a friend of mine who was selling 2 Bespin Blasters, and he had 1 Imperial Blaster that he was willing to sell. So he was selling the 2 blasters for $15 for both of them, which I thought that was great. So we picked both of them up, as I'm sure that we can find a figure in the future that doesn't come with a blaster that's in great shape. We'll just give him that one. It might save us a little bit of money. And if I get a complete figure with that blaster, then I can just use that for a trade or, you know, sell it later on down the line. Maybe I'll just make an earring out of it or something like that. I'm just kidding. My ears aren't pierced. So we picked up the lot for $30, which I thought was a great deal. But now we have some shiny new pew-pews to go with our salvage figures. We didn't have to find full replacements, and we could put them into our collection without making, you know, a huge investment into having to re-buy figures. You know, and I think that's gonna help us out in the long term, both to save money and to stay on budget, to not overspend, right? So to go over to the checklist, and so now we can check off the Bespan Guard, which I love this character. I think he's a great looking character. And since we already had him, let's mark him off for $10 because it's the price what the weapon, you know, came out to be. And the Death Star Commander for $10 as well because he came from our, you know, OG collection. And let's not forget about my old childhood C3PO. C3PO. I'm glad that something from my childhood can make it in there. You know, just like my Bespin figure, my Death Squad Commander, I actually bought that in college, so, you know, can't count him as my childhood figure. But my Bespan Guard and my C3PO, OG, complete OG. So we're gonna give 3PO that OG tag because he comes as all original. All original. I mean, what did you think about what we did today by going back and salvaging? I mean, we ended up salvaging 3 great figures, and we just had to do a weapons lot for them, which, you know, going on Facebook, I used the in search of again, and I have somebody on there who knows what I'm doing, was able to say, you know, I have these 3 weapons, gave it to me for a fair price, but I'm just glad that I got to repurpose those figures, you know? So that's it for this episode, but as always, thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm having a ton of fun. I don't know if you can tell, but I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.
If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.